Today's lesson is on why knowing how to fix your playing is the secret to your progress. So, I was in a lesson today with one of my piano students, a very beginner piano student, adult piano student. And at the end of the lesson, he had a good lesson. He actually felt really happy and was clapping and smiling, which was really cool. But at the end of the lesson, he said to me, he's like, "You know how to find that exact thing to fix." And I said, "Well, that's really the secret behind it, you know? Um, Knowing what to fix is really about a few things. So here's some things you guys can really take away from this. You must know, right? Especially if you're working on your own, right? If you're working with someone, then it's their job to have that design for you. I design that for all my students. I think it's absolutely essential. And I remember when I read, I know it's a side note already, but I remember when I read, I forget what the name of the book is, but it's by world-renowned classical guitarist Dennis Azabajic, um, who won the Tarrega competition and the GFA, I believe, the same year. Just really remarkable player. Um, he said beginners need to have their hand held through the process. And so that is essential for us to understand at any stage because we are always beginners with one thing or another. Um, just because we might even be advanced in some concept, might be able to do some things really well, some things very capable, right? Beginners need to have their hand held through the process. As you go further down advancement, then it's the teacher's job to give more and more and more responsibility to the student, right? So I mention this because as our own teacher, which we all have to be, even if you're studying with someone, we all have to be our own teacher. It's very essential that we are very aligned with exactly what we're doing. So back to the example of working with my piano student, we're working through a method book, Alfred's Adult Piano for Beginner, Volume 1. And in the book, there are small little beginning exercises, right? It introduces one concept at a time. First, things like knowing the notes, knowing the finger numbers of the notes, then later some rhythm, some time signature stuff. Rests are introduced, right? Then start mixing up a little bit more melodic intervals, harmonic intervals. And throughout that process, I'm always testing, do we know the names of notes? Do we know the finger numbers? Do we know the rhythm? Can we count the rhythm out loud? Can we do all of that, just in our head, but can we play it in time? Can we place every note on the beat, right? This is the alignment process, as I make it very clear of exactly what it takes to pass the test. If we don't pass the test, it is not time to move on. It is not even time to change the topic or the subject. I don't know why my hair's beat all crazy, but it's bothering me. It's not even time to change a topic, right? A lot of players, especially YouTube learners, that's what I'll sort of categorize a lot of self-taught players as today, because they're picking things up here and there. And a lot of players will say, all right, well, that's a lot of work or something like that, and their attention will be sort of taken from them, right? But if you want to feel progress and you want progress now, you want it today, it's going to take that clarity of design of what the actual test is. What am I doing? How well do I have to do it? How do I prove that? Right? So with my more advanced students, right, let's fast forward now. With my more advanced students, consistency training becomes an absolute necessity. Can you play it twice in a row in the lesson the way it needs to be? Good tone, good production, nice articulation. Are we doing things staccato? Are we doing legato? Do we have evenness in our subdivisions, right? All that kind of stuff then becomes a baseline standard, right? And then, if we're doing it with an entire piece, that's very challenging. If, let's say the piece is, just like an average Bach piece, you're probably looking at about 500 notes, right? If there's repeats, you're probably performing 1,000, maybe even 2,000 notes, right? That's it's a lot of tasks. So it's always has to be broken down, especially in the earliest stages, right? The more beginner style stages, always has to be broken down to go, can we get a high level right away? Actually, that was something that I said today in a lesson with a classical guitar student of mine, is, getting a high level right away. Can we do it with a measure? Can we get a measure with proper articulation, proper accent pattern? You know, if we're able to do that kind of thing, that means that we have just proven to ourselves that we not only have what it takes to pass the test, but we can do it. And then if we learn to do it twice in a row, 3 times in a row, 4 times in a row, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times in a row, we prove that we can do it whenever we want. So then there is no off days. We learn how to just turn it on. And this allows us to become the player we want to be at any given moment. We don't feel like, oh, I need to warm up for, 20, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, before the fingers really get going or something like that. No, it's like we just go through a set process to just feel like, okay, I can do what I want intentionally. Let's ramp up the difficulty very gradually. So that is what I wanted to bring today to the community here, is to get progress, and why knowing what what the standard is, what the test is for yourself, and allow yourself to try your hardest to pass that test. And then if the test doesn't work out, if you don't pass the test, that simply means that we're in a more beginner, not you, right? But we are in more of a beginner situation than we may have anticipated. We may have overestimated our ability to perform, right? No problem, happens to all of us, right? So all we do, we reduce the difficulty, less music, lower speed, right? Maybe no time, right? Just focus on good notes, right? Whatever the case is, whatever we're doing, in order to do that, we meet the test. Well, as soon as we're able to pass a test, we feel progress. And so once you feel progress, you pass the test, now you allow yourself to grow a little bit more ambition. So back to my very beginning student today, the beginner piano student, when he mentioned, like, just what to fix, the reason why is because I see what he is missing to be able to pass the test, the exact thing about it. I look for why he's missing that note. Why is that note misplayed? Why is that note out of time? Why is that note played with the wrong finger? Why is that note right? Whatever the case is, right? The why question allows us to be the detective that actually solves the identification problem. We can actually identify the problem correctly. That's probably the biggest barrier to progress in all the hundreds of students I've worked with one-on-one through the years. That's the biggest one, is they're not actually identifying the true problem. So in that case, make sure that you know exactly what you need to fix to get progress. If you're not making progress when you're picking up the instrument to get better, and that could even be in a jamming situation, then you just don't know what to fix, and you can't get any better until you know what to fix. So it's not what to do, it's not learn more scales or learn this or that, but it's why do it in the first place. And that then gives you the experience that you actually want to have. So, bit of a macro lesson today, but those are some of my favorites to share. Again, hopefully this was very insightful for you. If you'd like my help designing your progress, please feel free to message me. I'd love to help you out. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.